Welcome back, listeners, to the final episode of our podcast series for the SSS program, targeting small and medium-sized Lebanese enterprises that wish to double their revenue within a time frame of 3 to 5 years. With us today is Dr. Fouad Zablith. Thank you for being with us. And with us today also and throughout this program is Dr. Bijan Azad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our special guest for today is Mrs. Yusr Sabra, founder and CEO of Wakilni, a very successful Lebanese enterprise. Thank you, Yusr.
Thank you, Sami. Thank you for having me.
Today's session will be focused on design thinking and the growth planning. We'll start today by asking Yusr to introduce herself, Wakilni, and the industry Wakilni is in.
So I'm an electrical engineer. I'm a graduate from AUB in 2006. I worked in the domain for a few years. And then I went back to AUB in 2016. I got my master's in engineering management. I did not plan to be either a business owner or working in the logistics industry. I was actually for several years working in facility management, where we offer technical services. Basically, we would service apartments, offices, residential buildings, etc. And I found, specifically in Lebanon, because this is where I worked, that there was actually a need for non-technical services that we were being asked for. So, for example, deliver this paper for me, can you do this bank transaction on my behalf, and all of that. So I tried to convince the company that I was working with to start offering these services so that we don't do it like on the side. But their priorities were elsewhere. When I got the opportunity in 2014 to leave, I set up my first company that is called Tikani. We do technical services, and I finally did the dream, basically, to set up a concierge service called Wakilni. So this is where the name comes from originally. It means delegate to me the errands that usually take up time, especially in a country like Lebanon. Everything is messy, so much traffic.
So Tikani first, then Wakilni.
Then Wakilni came from it. And very slowly, we started actually understanding more.
Which year was that?
This was 2014.
14.
Oh. And we kicked off small. So again, we don't have a very typical startup story. We didn't have technology. We didn't sit and do a business canvas. None of that. It was just a service. We felt there's a need, and we were just using whatever resources we had. I would borrow my father's car. We would double as different people. I literally told the team we have different caps, now we're doing this, now we're doing that. So we were just really exploring and experimenting. But what happened was we were located in Beirut Digital District. So we were around other small SMEs and startups that were just starting to build their businesses. And we started to understand that actually, first, it makes more sense to serve other businesses. So a B2B model made more sense than B2C because it meant we can generate recurrent revenues. We can actually depend that this business is going to give us X requests per month, for example. And second, we started realizing that there is an industry, that is e-commerce, that is starting to grow. And it seemed like it was being overlooked by really large players in the market. So the large brands were very hesitant to go online, and the large logistics companies were very hesitant to work with the small players because for them, they're a very big headache to serve the small businesses. Are you registered? Are you not registered? They have so many requests, but we were willing to actually, sit and understand, okay, what do you want? You want us to take this shoe and wait for the customer to try it on? Yalla, we will do it. What do you want? We take balloons with us as well? We will do it. We were willing, basically, to. And this was the start of it. Now, fast forward till today, the two companies are completely split. Wakilni is its own company. We are 360 people today. We have 7 warehouses across Lebanon and Amman, Jordan. So we've expanded beyond Lebanon. We cover all of both countries. We own our technology fully, and what we like to position ourselves is we provide tech-enabled logistics services across the value chain. So what started out as only delivery services has now diversified into a lot of other services that benefit the SME that is selling their products online across their growth journey. So what do I mean? So when this business starts as an e-commerce business, they require at the beginning only delivery services.
Correct.
But as they grow, they want to integrate their website with us. Then they want to outsource the inventory. They want to outsource their warehousing. Then they start thinking of international shipping. Then they want to do support on sales and etc. So it's a whole value chain that we have today developed across it. So this is where we are today.
Wow, very impressive record actually over the last 10 years, I would say now.
Surprisingly.
The company has pivoted also a little
Yes.
bit from what it initially started to where it is today. Can we say you're in the supply chain industry?
We are, and we are
Partially.
We are definitely in the supply chain, focused on e-commerce, focused on SMEs in e-commerce. We serve larger players,
correct,
but we believe that we have a good understanding of what these small and medium-sized businesses need. And we are leveraging the technology today. So we are heading towards actually licensing our technology.
Right, okay. So you leverage technology.
Yes.
Dr. Zablith, as you have heard, actually, Wakilni has pivoted along the way, and I would say they have innovated the services they are offering to the SMEs, small and medium enterprises, startups. Why do you think business owners should focus on innovation?
That's a great question, and I think the story that we heard from Yusr was amazing. It reflects how you should be sensitive, right, to the market needs and to the people you are serving. And I think, as a leader, Yusr, you should play a big role in innovation. You should lead your own team in these innovative initiatives, right? So one ingredient for success in innovation is that you should be part of it. You shouldn't only delegate your vision to a team of people in your company and then you will be observing. No, you should be part of the process. When your team thinks that your next project is X and you are with them on this, the motivation will just be, the dynamics will be very, very different. Okay, and from Yusr's story, you could feel that she was being very sensitive to the environment. So she was part of the BDD, and then they were exploring new technologies, and they were thinking, how can we integrate this technology to add value across the value chain of the organization? So I think innovation is key, right? So you should be agile. You should be thinking out of the box. You should brainstorm with your colleagues to see how can you still add value constantly as you grow. So you have been 10 years, and if you look at the story of Wakilni, you can see
creativity and agility, actually.
They're both values of the company. Agility is a value, and innovation is a value that we communicate internally and externally. And what you said is extremely important. It's, you can be at times, you can get an idea or you read something, you can correlate it. But to actually create a culture that is intrinsically agile, that this is, and it's when you're a small company, it's also easier because, you sit, you have lunch, you discuss ideas, you go out together, you're friends. But as the company grows, more and more people are there. How do you make sure that you're actually giving enough space, enough channels for people to share? If they think of something, you want them to come to you and say and tell you, why don't we do this differently? Or I'm noticing this trend, and etc. And this we really are trying to focus on to get the ideas out of the team because they're the ones that are closest. They are the ones that they are seeing things day in, day out. And at the same time, for us to maintain as a leadership team, this kind of innovation, and as you said, being close to, is very, very tricky because at times it means you have to go down on operational level, but you're always being stretched. Should I be here or should I be, sitting behind my desk thinking strategically? But for me to think strategically, I need to make sure I'm also on the ground because I will see things differently than how the team sees it. And this is always,
innovation vis-a-vis competition. So I think part of the innovation they're doing at Wakilni, Dr. Bijan, is relating to the fact they want to be ahead of the competitors. To what extent this statement makes sense?
Can I restate the question in a different way? So I want to put out a couple of points and see if Yusr agrees. I think for about first 4 years, a startup is grappling with what should be a business model that works, and in a way you're constantly experimenting. That's the definition of innovation in a way. Innovation means you're doing things that have an uncertain outcome, and then because you have a small company, you can kind of shift and figure out which one works. And I think you settled on B2B, and I would actually say your original core business was logistics, in the sense that I think value chain support come later. And I think we want to understand from you, is that accurate, that your bulk of your revenue comes from delivery? Yes. Right?
The bulk of the revenue comes today from delivery, but the gross margins on non-delivery services are much better.
Exactly.
And this is why our goal is today to diversify in two ways. More revenues should come in from value-added services with bigger margins and from different markets, because today also the bulk is Lebanon.
This is, I think, very key.
That's high risk. I mean, two things at the same time. Usually either increase your revenue streams or you expand geographically.
But I think this is where, but expanding geographically is not, because it's a logistics company at the end of the day. So I think you can
the expansion geographically can happen through different operating models without being too risky. So in our industry, we saw a lot of stories. Fetcher is one of them. I used to be in love with Fetcher. I don't know if you're familiar with the story, because they were starting to get a lot of traction when we were starting to come into the industry. So for me, they were the dream, and I actually tried to pitch to them. This was how much I was in love with what they're doing. And then this is where you see trying to do everything everywhere and going into really, really big markets. And even though they were extremely well funded, they couldn't manage, basically, when they entered into Saudi, I think, the business, they ran out of business, actually. Wow. So because you cannot, as you were saying, you cannot be doing everything at the same time and scaling everywhere. So we're a bit more modest when it comes to growth. So when we're saying exploring different first revenue streams, we start in where it's like our playground. Lebanon is easier for us as a market. So we can explore different revenue streams here. But for example, when we went into Jordan, we didn't do everything we were doing in Jordan from the start. We did what our strong,
which is
logistics, delivery, and the fulfillment. Which I didn't tell you that we just received 2 weeks ago our ISO certification on.
Wow.
So we
Congratulations.
So we have really we understand how the processes should be, and we're backed on that. So we are able to take it elsewhere. But we didn't automatically explore everything there. And then the next market we want to go into is also not the really large players that you always hear the hype around. We're not targeting Iraq or Saudi. We're targeting another geographically smaller market that is usually a bit more overlooked by the large competitors, because, as you said, we don't want to be overstretched or taking too large bites, basically.
Okay. So can I say you are in favor of growth, but moderate growth?
We are definitely, we cannot not be in favor of growth, exactly. But really to understand strategically how to grow, not to go after fads, or not to just target names that when I sit with people, I tell them, why don't you go to Saudi Arabia? It's the market. Do you really understand what's going after Saudi Arabia is? No, we really take, and this is another thing what I liked about this program, is it set realistic expectations. 2x growth within 3 years. If you sit with potential investors, they want to see 5x in 18 months. They're being generous with you. Do you know what this means on the ground, basically? So we're after realistic growth, one that really understands and knows there is a lot that goes behind it operationally, on the grounds. There's a lot that goes into it. 2x is not
not easy.
Definitely.
I read recently that Wakilni, received funding. I'm not sure whether a VC, venture capital, VC or was it a private equity?
Okay, we've signed basically. We're now raising funds. Actually, we are now.
You're still raising funds.
We're raising $3 million.
Okay.
But for the first time, this round is through institutional funding. So we've raised before 2.5 million across the years, but it was all from angel investors. So now this is the first time that we have signed a term sheet with a VC, the Razor Capital. They're leading our round basically. We're raising 3 million, out of which they have already pledged or subscribed basically to a ticket of 500,000, and now we're raising the rest of the amount jointly with them.
No, I'm asking this question really in the context of growth. You know, whenever you have VC, my son has a startup and I follow up a lot. Whenever there is a VC, the expectations by the VC are you need to grow not 2 or 3 times within 5 years.
This is why selecting the right VC is also very important. We were turned down, and we still get turned down by VCs every day. Because we're not, honestly, when they look at us, and no, you need to show us more aggressive growth. This is a very competitive landscape. What is your competitive advantage? Our competitive no. So they are very, very, and this is a very competitive field. So selecting the right VC, ones that understand basically you have to find the right match and the right mix of expectations.
Okay, but so you're not under pressure by the current VC.
I'm under pressure anyway. But we're aligned with Razor Capital.
So they're the friendly VC, I would say, right?
We can say friendlier.
We can say that.
Friendlier. I want to some
please.
points here. So I think it's fair to say I've heard from several VCs I've talked to, particularly, they don't want to come near you.
Yes.
Why?
They don't want to come.
They don't want to come.
Okay.
This is a red ocean industry. There are lots of people in delivery. There are lots of people in logistics. And what I like about the fact that they decided to against odds, but it's a lot like a company like in the US, Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines entered the airline market that was really bleeding cash. Nobody was making money.
Right.
It's a lot of regulation. But you can come in and rethink certain aspects of the business model. And by doing that, you actually create a niche for yourself. And I think this is the key. You have to realize that, yes, and if the VC is not interested in that, then maybe you should not. It's not a good marriage anyway.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
let's not go there.
Yeah. We
So,
got over the rejections.
Yeah, and I think this is important. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I fully agree.
Okay. Dr. Zablith, I came to know that you visited Wakilni
Yes.
after or during the course, and you started together to apply design thinking to what they do. Can you tell us a little bit about your visit and what did you see, discussions you had, what happened afterwards, what recommendations they have applied? We'll ask Yusr about that. Can you give us a brief about your
of course.
interaction with the team?
Can I
300
contextualize before you start?
Eh?
Please.
So, Yusr sent a picture on WhatsApp to the team and says, Dr. Zablith is on fire. Remember that? It was great. It was like
Best rated workshop. I got team members asking me, why weren't we involved? Why didn't you invite us to this? We do ratings after all courses. Everyone this is the raving about it. Best workshop I've done. Please do more like this. It was really good.
So firefighting, then we got Malak to bring the firefighter.
Yeah, I was actually very lucky to be invited
Hey,
to
tell us,
Wakilni.
please, more for the viewers.
What I saw was kind of
The offices are not your typical Lebanese office. I mean, I visited myself, and I remember that, right?
Yeah, I was really impressed by how Yusr mentioned that there are now 360
60
employees.
people.
And for some reason, when you join and you go to the offices, you feel that it's still, you have the spirit of like a startup where you are experimenting.
Uh-huh.
And
really? Okay.
yeah, I mean, you have these open plans where, all ideas are welcome. And they did a setup where they involved people from all the different functions. and they were working on a certain objective to ideate around a new business model, a new product, which is the marketplace.
Yeah, we have to talk about the marketplace. This is a really innovative
Absolutely, and one
initiative.
thing that they did is they involved people from marketing, from operations, from sales, from
Drivers.
drivers, and they mixed the teams in a way to kind of enable this kind of brainstorming, collaborative brainstorming, which I think is really needed. And she mentioned before about the mindset, which is, I think, very, very kind of important. She, like, keeping the mindset of innovation and this kind of open platform where all ideas are welcome is very important for any project to come to life. Because at the end of the day, if the marketplace, which is the new product that a B2C product that Wakilni is launching, if you feel that one of your ideas made it somehow to the execution of the product at the end, you just feel part of it.
Wow.
And this is very powerful as a mindset. And as a leader, to be able to engage your colleagues in this way, I think is
They say one approach or one tool to tackle innovators' bias is to get people from all departments to contribute to the innovation project that is.
Absolutely. The innovator bias is one of the biggest challenges to overcome when you are innovating. Because at the end of the day, everyone is like biased by their own thinking, by their own background knowledge. So if you bring like a computer scientist or an IT person to think about how to solve a certain problem, they will think very differently compared to a marketing person or a salesperson. So one way to overcome this is to collaborate and bring people together to think together around.
Can you tell us a little bit about Wakilni with the modern innovation, please?
Absolutely. One of the ways to overcome or to move away from the traditional mindset is by engaging people. And you need to there are different techniques that can be applied here. And one of them is like pushing people to brainstorm without first thinking about the feasibility of the idea. So you can push people to say that any idea is welcome, right? Because you want to kind of break this barrier between the very conservative people who are not, openly kind of discussing their ideas. Yeah. You want everyone to put their ideas on the table. And if you start by pushing first for quantity and not quality, you will encourage people to kind of come up with maybe different ways of solving the same problem.
Which is the feature of modern innovation.
Absolutely.
Quantity, not quality. We don't want the
initially when you're
exactly
when you're ideating first, you want to go and explore. So exploration is key first, and then maybe you can combine different ideas coming from different people into a feasible solution later, which comes at the prototyping level.
Do you get feedback from customers or just your staff? And
No, of course. So we have two types of customers. We have what we call the clients. These are the businesses that basically depend on us to do the deliveries. And then we have the customer that is purchasing from these businesses that we also have one-on-one, because the driver is going to them and he's delivering the product. So these we also consider as like the C element.
Can you explain it
Yes.
a little bit more
So
for the benefit of the viewers?
So
please?
let's say you
The two
ordered
types of
online.
clients. Hey.
You ordered online from Sarah's Bag.
Okay.
Okay? Sarah's Bag is our client.
Right.
So you don't know Wakilni at that point. You know that you purchased a product from Sarah's
Correct.
Bag. Sarah's
Which happened actually in my case.
Okay.
I told you, Darda cats. I bought
Yes.
one Christmas period from Darda.
Yeah.
Exactly. When I visited her office, she traced back the order. I love it. She gave me dates, times, who delivered, who received it. She had full tracking.
Yeah, so both in this case, you and Dardakaz or Sarah's Bag, for us, their feedback is important. So for us, you are both clients and customers, basically. And for each,
so the end user or the ultimate customer is.
So for clients, we send out quarterly surveys. They're pushed on the portal. It's very simple, 3 questions. because we want it to be very simple. We collect this feedback. We have a whole process of what we do with it. It's divided by departments. We do follow-up calls. Like they get upgrade. Whatever we receive actually goes into our task lists of things to develop or to improve, or to just ignore, depending on what. Okay. And from the customer perspective, at every delivery, when it's delivered, we remind the customer to please rate the delivery service by SMS. And every okay or bad rating that we get on daily basis is followed up with a call to actually receive feedback and understand. And we take this into account very seriously. So yes, of course, it's not only the team, but it's also the consumers and the clients, basically.
Change management. Now, you've done many changes, more so after the visit of Dr. Zablith to your offices. And how did the staff respond? How did you tackle change?
Okay, so I tell you, so we did the design thinking first here at SSS. Right. Omar and I, my brother, he's the chief strategy officer as well. We both did the workshop here. We loved it. We thought it was, we were already thinking, okay, this would be great to really understand, because as Dr. Fouad said, we were actually at the final stages of developing the marketplace product in its first format. But it was time for us to start, we're always thinking of what are the features, what is actually the strategy of the marketplace, whom are we actually targeting, everyone, well, is there a specific group of people that we're targeting? So there are a lot of questions. And we also realized that each of us had their own answers in the back of their heads. Yani each one of us was, and we weren't really, maybe communicating across all, properly putting like, okay, this is the strategy. But before giving out the strategy to the team, this was not in what we wanted.
So this is the change you want to tell us
This was
about.
maybe how we approached this product differently, because other products that had started, like the delivery, came from me. The fulfillment, warehousing, etc., was joint effort, Omar, myself, the team, but it was in this format. Today, the team is bigger, the client base is bigger, the stakes are higher, so the approach has become very different when it comes to developing and actually putting out new products. And it's not about just putting out a product, it's everything around it, the messaging, the marketing, everything, and really the strategy of it. So when we were at the SSS, we're like, we have to do this for the team, for the marketplace.
You mean the SSS program?
Yes, the SSS.
Correct.
Yes,
sorry.
Okay. The SSS. So this is why we reached out to Dr. Fouad. And one thing that came out of it, so everything we did was on large sheets, because every team presented their idea and their concept of what they thought the marketplace should have in terms of features and approach. So we kept all the big sheets. Wow. And then we delegated them to one person in the team, and we're like, please, can you put them all together in one document? And this is what we did. And then we had another strategy session where we actually grouped together all ideas that were similar, and then we turned them into, like, we applied them on the project timeline. This is a priority, this needs to go. This is very dreamy, but maybe later. So we put it in the icebox. And everything got translated into really on an action plan. And this I loved. It really made sure, and we picked all the brains, we put everything together, we dropped some things, we left some things, and this was very key.
Marketplace. You mentioned the marketplace a couple of times. This is, I suppose, you're a pioneer in this in Lebanon, somehow.
Okay, I'll tell you.
And first, I want you to tell us what's the marketplace is, how it differentiates you from others. Because really, honestly, the first time I met you and I heard Wakilni, I thought Wakilni is another Aramex or another delivery company. But now I came to know that Wakilni is not totally different, but is much more than a delivery company.
So we didn't create the concept of a marketplace at all, but we are doing things a bit differently from many elements. So first differentiator is this is a non-food platform. So we don't sell fast food or restaurants. It is specifically for retail products.
And no lunch today.
The only like edibles you
Okay.
can find on the marketplace are the ones that have a long shelf life,
life,
that don't
yeah.
have, they're not temperature sensitive, but it's not a restaurant's one.
Perishable foods are off.
They're off, and
Okay.
and groceries are also off. So we're not. This is not the experience that we're
Medicine?
after. We have para-pharmaceuticals, yani like
Okay.
skincare, etc. But not no medications,
Not
not
medication. Okay.
It's
Hey.
not legal in Lebanon.
exactly.
In Lebanon, not legal.
No.
Wow. Okay.
So it's vendor-based. What does this mean? It means that you actually see the store that is selling their products. So you would see, for example, Toygate, let's say. So you would see the actual store. You go in, you actually also see the story behind the store, the story of the founder, the products, etc.
Where do you see this?
On the marketplace. This is on the Wakilni app.
Okay.
We've added a whole page. It's a
So
marketplace.
it's in the website of Wakilni.
It's on the app today.
On
the
the app,
website version
okay.
is coming up. We have
Okay,
a
it's
website
coming,
But
okay,
today it's
okay.
on the app. And the other thing that is a bit, I would say, innovative is in the business model. It is non-revenue sharing, no commission from the stores.
Oh,
Why is this
wow.
important? Because we believe this is a key annoying point for SMEs, and our the value proposition is that we are partners for these SMEs.
Okay.
So what we do is a subscription model, basically. You are using the platform, so you pay to subscribe to be on the platform, basically.
Small fee?
It's $10 per month, so
Oh,
it's a very,
okay.
it's
Great.
very
Very
small.
reasonable.
It's very reasonable. But we do charge for placing SKUs online because the majority of the vendors today are small, medium size. We do in-house all the content.
So there is a new SKU coming to the
Yes.
market. That's where you charge.
We charge them for every new SKU they're placing. It's a one-time charge.
Okay.
Because we handle their photography, their copywriting, all of it, so that the feel of the marketplace is really, cohesive. They're
Okay.
nice images. You would like to shop it. All of that. So we work a lot on
Nice.
those, and then we started getting a lot of requests. We want these photos. We want because they're so nice. We want to use them on our social media, on
You
etc.
can sell it.
So that we had a very big debate as well on
Uh-huh.
that, and I'm like, we give it for free with a watermark because what's important for us is the brand name of the marketplace. So put the branding, just say that this is a marketplace creation, and use it for free. We're very friendly today with these SMEs. So this is another thing. The third competitive advantage I think that we have is that we own the logistics element of it.
You mean the vans,
I mean the entire. So today
Warehouse,
there are
yeah.
a lot of marketplaces out there that are doing similar. You can
Okay.
go find a lot of marketplaces that have vendors that are selling products, but usually they don't do the deliveries in-house themselves. They don't have the team that does them. They need to go to a Wakilni or to other providers, and it's very expensive to outsource. Because you have so many stops. Let's say the shopper is buying from 2 stores at the same time. If they come to me, I'm going to charge them this pickup, and this delivery. And then they need to back charge their consumer 3 deliveries. It's very expensive. So it's very challenging. And they usually marketplaces, this is the last thing they think about. They always do everything else. They place the products, everything, and then they say, later on, we'll procure a delivery company.
So
It's
they
a very big.
outsource the service.
They
whereas you
have
it
to.
in-house.
Otherwise, they have to do it in-house. It takes 10 years to build it in-house. I'm sorry. It's not, it's 10 years and no.
Okay.
It just takes a long time. That's what I'm saying. But when you have this layer already, then adding on value-added services and products like the marketplace becomes a bit less challenging, basically.
Do you store the goods?
So yes, we already do. Regardless if the business is using the marketplace or not. We offer the service of leasing warehousing space. And again, going back to serving
okay.
SMEs, the way that we lease them is we don't say it's by cubic meter. The SME founder and the owner doesn't even understand most of them don't even understand what a CBM is.
Right.
Even if you draw it for them. So what we very, very early on, we used to lease them shelves. So we tell them, this is the shelf size. We can help you calculate how many products fit there so that they can do their calculations. And moving forward, so today we have around 85 businesses that store
Use
fully.
the marketplace.
They use the marketplace is even more, but the 85 they lease with us spacing.
Space.
And if they lease the space, then being on the marketplace becomes super easy for them. The products are there, the sales channel is there, we package, and then they're just collecting their sales. But it's not a must. They can have their own products wherever they store them, and they can still sell on the marketplace.
Can I intervene here?
Yes, okay.
So again, I want to see if what am I perceiving is accurate. Let's see if correct. I think they want a business that drives traffic to the logistics, right? One.
Okay.
Second, there are these bundled services.
So the core remains logistics.
But you see,
Yeah,
but,
no, is
but
it
also they
the
make money
core?
because they make money off of this indirectly because subscription business. Subscription business,
Beautiful.
everybody looks forward. So
Like
I think
a SaaS model.
exactly. So, and then you kind of include these bits and pieces, like you're providing warehousing, but very selective view of warehousing, and then you're providing almost Shopify. So I feel like by bundling it into one, I feel like in a way you come in and carve out something for yourself. And this is what I mean, that this is a very established business, but carving it like this and then making money out of it, that's what's novel. You agree?
Fully.
Okay.
Fully.
And so
Yes, please.
just to add to this, I think you can see where from Yusr's conversation is that how she identified every reason or every feature in their product. She had the reason for it.
Wow.
Like businesses in Lebanon don't understand what
That's
CBM is.
engineering background, I think.
Yes.
My wife will be happy to hear this.
So she had to understand, she knows why she's doing things or why she has this feature in the marketplace and not something else, right? So this is the process of matching the needs to the product features, which is core to design thinking as well, right? So by integrating these things, I think you're just generating indirectly value, right? So this is what value creation is.
Beautiful.
So
Right.
add to that, so I would say these are very granular way of addressing pains and then collecting those pain relievers you're offering into this product, because these are different pains, and especially for a small business.
Tell us a little bit more about the offices. I visited the offices and was very impressed by what I saw. Be it, we call it a crash, right?
There was a crash, yes.
And a place for the staff to eat, staff to pray.
There's the water cooler is right in the middle, right, which is strategically placed. Because this is, and the coffee machine is right next to it, and then you have the offices around, and
Caffeinated, decaffeinated.
everything is available.
Matcha tea.
So, so this is how you can break the ice when you gather around, the water cooler, and then you drive people out of their offices to kind of mingle and to kind of connect.
Wow.
And
This
talking
is
about
probably Omar, I think, ideas rather than Yusr.
Yeah.
Mingling.
Mingling.
so you have this kind of atmosphere that they're trying to kind of reflect this exploration aspect that is part of their culture. And to me, the more mature the company is, the harder it becomes to keep this kind of spirit. And
Did you feel it's an open door management?
absolutely,
Absolutely.
I can tell you that.
This is my feeling, actually. It was like,
Yeah, I mean, even in the workshop, they were working all together. They just closed all the external disruptions, and they were booked for one day, where they were all sitting on the ground, filling these big sheets of papers together. And I was moving around, and I was observing. Like you can feel the discussion, like for example, from a driver who was describing the experience of a customer receiving a product, or from a marketing person describing a loyalty aspect, loyalty card kind of solutions. So the richness of the discussion just goes exponentially up when you have this kind of mindset.
wow.
I want to say something here. I think
Yeah.
Wakilni is going to have a hard time scaling and keeping this view. So I think one of the biggest challenges is going to be, as you have grown now, and you know, I think when I was there a year ago, you explained this, that you have, at the time your size was 225. So, and I think as the size grows, this is going to be a bigger challenge. And I think this is where you have to find a way. And I think most companies have a hard time doing it.
You know, and all models are difficult. So growing leaders from within comes with its own difficulties. Bringing leaders in has its own difficulties as well.
Onboarding, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, this is why it's, Omar and I remain very much.
A mix. You need a mix.
Very much involved. You have to go. Like this is literally how I imagine myself. Like you have to go deep dive and then out. You always have to have your sensors around. You really have to read people all the time, the dynamics between them and their leaders.
Okay. I want to ask you about the course, about the SSS program. What were your expectations? The reality, how far was it from expectations, unless your expectations were not that high? And takeaways on a personal and as a company. So can you tell us more about the program?
I had just the only expectation that I had was just to be challenged basically on how we do things. And that I think was definitely hit and more. I was personally, because this is a program done at AUB, this was for me like, this is why we need to.
You love AUB.
I love AUB, the professors, the kind of like, okay, there are so many workshops, not just there's so many programs, but to have a program that promises quality from AUB professors coming together, and I know all the names, and headed by Dr. Bijan, honestly, it's a privilege to be a part of it. So this was the first,
So there was a center is an attraction.
Of course, so many
I paid her to say that.
Dr. Bijan. Design thinking by Dr. Zablith is a.
That was the first part. The second is, again, and I want, even if I'm being repetitive, but I really liked that the key takeaway is something that I can wrap my head around. The promise is is a 2x growth. It's not something that is just out in the air. It's something that you can actually measure, track, etc. So this was another thing. For me, the very challenging part was take myself out of the office.
Do the homework.
Before the homework, it's really being present here for long days, and I tried as much as possible too. But it's
We
this
had
part.
lots of coffees, croissant, and nice lunches.
No, but it's
Yeah,
true.
no,
What
I
she
meant-
says true, because I remember I used to think she doesn't pay attention. She was very busy. I was on the phone and doing this and then sending messages. And then I said, "What about this?" And she says, "No, that's not right." Must be motherhood. I think women know how to. I told you were not listening.
Women multitask.
So now Dr. Azad is wearing the professor's hat. So
Yeah, and actually doing this with Omar was also it was also for us an opportunity to leave our comfort zone. The other thing that I was very pleasantly surprised with were the other groups that were here. The
So
selection was
networking.
awesome. The selection was really great. We knew for different degrees most of the other companies, but I tell you that we have grown also with almost all of them a much stronger relationship.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, really. This was really great, and to actually break certain barriers and to talk about things that maybe outside of this room would have been iffy to talk about, but we learned a lot because of the conversations. They drove a lot of learning among one another, and this exceeded my expectations.
Listening to other people's
lot.
experiences
Yeah.
in itself I
Yeah.
think is very valuable.
Yeah. And then the actual content itself.
Yeah.
And this was
The
also
modules.
highlighted.
Any particular module you like?
I personally, I really like
Design
the design
thing,
thinking.
yeah.
I'm in love with it, Sirit, really.
Really?
But
Not
I
because
also,
Dr. Fouad is here with us today.
let me close my.
What about
Okay.
finance? I want to interrupt
Okay,
you.
so I wanted to
Hey.
say, this was the second thing that I wanted to tell you, is that we took advantage of the fact that, so we wanted other team members as well. And what was important for me was for them to know, where are Omar and Yusuf? We're at AUB. So what are you doing at AUB? Go see, and go literally sit and. So we had our chief accountant at the time. Today she's our chief operating officer. She did the course with Dr. Lina. She attended the session.
Wow.
And the head of our chief people officer, she was the one that did the HR sessions. And our marketing, our communications officer at the time, today she's the manager, she did the one on marketing.
The marketing and sales.
This was very important.
Now you were at the sales, actually.
I was there at the sales. But I'll give you an example. So for the finance part, we actually introduced new KPIs that today we check on monthly basis on the P&L.
Current ratios, maybe?
Ratios related to workmen, workers, the salaries. We divided it differently now, the P&L, because of the program. So we actually, and I requested actually from each manager, after they did the session, to send me a summary by email of the key takeaways and what they will apply accordingly. And this is what we did. Yeah.
So this is a program that you'd recommend to other companies.
Of course. Just not
and
competitors.
we'll ask them.
Competitors.
Do you think we should charge companies, SMEs, for this program?
And this message is from Omar, because he's the one that's always coming up with innovative ideas.
Okay.
It can be charged indirectly by coming together, again, like a community. We can create co-programs, co-initiatives that can actually generate money that can go back into funding the program, instead of just saying charge. It can be in a more, design thinking. This is design thinking, literally. It can be just creating specific initiatives within companies that generate money, who's a percentage of it goes back into the program. This way it self-funds.
Okay. Now that you're in business for 10 years, I have a question for you. Not design thinking. I know you're in love with this design. It's about finance. What do you think is more important, profitability or liquidity?
Both.
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 Yeah, I know, but you have to choose one.
I cannot choose one. Both.
They go hand in hand.
Both are very important, and we've struggled with both at different times.
Yeah, I remember.
And you have to be aware of both at all times. Sometimes the liquidity supports you not being profitable for a while until you hit the profitability. At other times, profitability helps you, one, stay sane, and two, maybe get liquidity when you don't have liquidity. You know what I mean? So both are very important. Maybe the level of importance, which is more important, is different through different periods.
I want to ask this question to Dr. Bijan, honestly. For Wakilni is a late stage startup, let's call it. Okay, but companies of this size, where their focus should be?
In what way?
Liquidity versus profitability.
I really think it depends on your model for growth. Some people want
Wakilni inside out.
No, but I feel like it matters what the founders want to do. For me, you can say, I'm going to always have a burn rate, and I'm going to support the burn rate by either, usually you have to give equity away. Some people insist on self-funded growth. Okay, that means you're going to grow slower. So to me, I feel like really the founders, and they're based on a strategy. You have to have a strategy for that.
So I'll give you an example. So for example, we cannot be not profitable on the delivery element.
You have to be profitable.
We have to be, but we can be not profitable for a while on the marketplace, for example, as it grows. So this is but you need liquidity for that to happen in order to hit profitability at a certain point. And this is how we look at it, actually. Every revenue stream, we look at its profitability separately. And if the bottom line is not profitable, for example, because we are spending on marketplace, but as a business on its own, the delivery is profitable, then okay, great, we're happy. But if we're not profitable on the delivery element, no, the whole business would not make sense.
I support this. To me, it took Uber 10 years to find out profitability matters because it was a religion. Uber was a religion at the time. You know, people believe, no, the number of users.
Today's session.
And then finally somebody said, no, we have to have a profit. And sure enough, that was 2 years ago only. So I agree, because core business is, at the end of the time, some kind of people delivery, but at the end, that's a very basic operation. How can you not have profitable operation?
Today's session, episode, whatever you want to call it, is about both design thinking and growth planning. One avenue of growth is acquisition. Has Wakilni considered acquiring a business to grow? And now with the support of a VC, maybe they're pushing you in that direction?
We're not being pushed in any direction,
You're
but
not
we have. But what we've done along the way is we've actually they're not acquisitions, but we actually did investment tickets in 2 companies. We did one small ticket in a Cypriot last mile delivery company.
In a Cypriot?
In Cyprus.
Hey, what?
We did a small investment there. So we own a stake in a delivery company in Cyprus. We also, our market...
But this business will never integrate with your business?
We thought about it. We explored it for a while. It didn't make sense then. We have its own strategy today. It's there.
But if it's part of the Wakilni money, it has to be
it's
part
not
of
part
the...
of the. It's
okay.
it's an investment that we did.
It's an investment. Okay.
But I'll just tell you the things that we have explored. We also did a ticket investment in the marketing agency that we work with. It's Madison, and we own a stake in it today. This helps a lot in the growth of the business because. And we've literally integrated a lot of elements together. We work very jointly, and this helps us a lot. Not just, it helps us at least in the marketplace. When we say we do in-house, it means we do in-house to a certain extent because we have a stake in the company that is doing this. And this is very helpful for us, as well as it helps us a bit diversify as well without actively diversifying. And we have looked, actually, we've explored 2 opportunities to acquire other delivery companies locally.
Yes.
We've done the whole homework. 3, actually, 3, not just 2.
You considered?
We studied them fully 3 times, and we made an offer to one that they turned down eventually, and 2 of which we also overlooked. But yeah, we've done this exercise in terms of looking at them, but we never moved forward with them.
I want to distinguish.
Yes, please,
I want to distinguish because, from my point of view, the marketing company, you have a stake in it. Or?
Yes.
Okay, major stake.
Minority stake.
Minority,
but
it's
is
still
it part
large.
of the Wakilni money?
25% or more.
Less, a bit less.
Okay, so to me,
I call
that a strategic partnership.
Yes.
Because your value chain includes marketing for online.
And this is what we're doing, exactly.
So to me, it's like a no-brainer.
Okay.
It's not an acquisition so much as you kind of want to connect with people who connect with you have a synergy.
Exactly.
See, what I'm saying is that it's not
it's
not
not
acquisition outright. Yeah.
Okay, it's the synergy you see in this.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else you want to add? I want to ask a question totally different than our discussion so far. You're the main founder. Correct me if I say anything wrong. And Omar, your brother, is the chief strategy officer. Is Wakilni a family company?
No, it's not a family company. We are also backed by a group of angel investors, but we are very much value-driven. We're values-driven, whether you want to call it family or... One of our core values of the company is tribal belonging. So we are a tribe.
Tribal belonging.
Yes, it's one of our
That's a nice
core
expression.
And the difference...
Can you
Yes, I'll tell you the difference between team, family, and tribe. So, usually you go to companies that we're a family. Family means you have a blood relationship. It means if you do something wrong, I'm going to forgive you because we're family. In a tribe, we are both liable towards one another. I have expectations from you, you have expectations from me, and we both need to drive a common cause together forward. And this we always communicate with the team, and it somehow links to design thinking and everything else. The whole approach.
Everything goes back to design.
I'm jealous. I'm very jealous now.
Nobody talks about strategy.
You're not included in the next program.
Dr. Bijan, nobody talks about strategy.
I know,
operation,
nothing. No mention.
Finance, had we not asked the question. back to design thinking.
I'm just saying, you know, the
This
whole thing.
episode, we're gonna label it.
I'm in trouble, right?
I just mean, you know, it's a coming together of different elements. So this is again, you know, how even with me and Omar, even though we are brother and sister, but the approach is not this way. It's more about we hold each other accountable for the expectations. And by the way, he's also a shareholder. He joined Omar. He's a shareholder. So he joined a few years after. And it's actually, also going back to what Dr. Bijan said, it's after the 4 years of exploring and trying different things. But when he came, there was a reason why he has this title, because Omar is a strategic thinker. He thinks a bit ahead, a bit differently, a bit ahead, more scale and processes oriented.
And he's calm.
He's very calm.
You're
We're very
full of
complimentary. Exactly.
Yusr is a dynamo. Yusr is full of energy, full of ideas.
Absolutely. Dynamo, engine.
Omar is
Marketing engine.
thinker.
He's a thinker, and we think
The
differently.
Socrates of Wakilni.
It's very important that we think differently.
Hey.
Everything that there's a bit of a different approach, and he always pulls me back to strategic thinking.
Really?
At the beginning of this year, when we were putting the initiatives, he got upset with me. This is not strategic thinking. This is just initiatives. And no, we need to think. How is it? Yes. Until we until I understood what he
meant.
You know, it takes a lot, and not to be told this way, and I take it all in, and I know that he has a point somewhere that he's trying to get me to think about, and he's always right about them. And yeah, so it's this is the dynamic that is more important than being family. It's more about, one, we're driven by the same values. This is why he came back to Lebanon. Omar has 10 years in the GCC. He came back for a reason beyond just we're not only doing logistics. We are
Was he in logistics?
Omar was with Transmed.
Transmed, yeah, of
And
course.
so he was in supply chain.
Yeah, okay.
And then he acquired, with a group of friends, a small logistics company in the UAE doing exactly what Wakilni is doing. And he tried it out.
They're still there?
No,
Competing? No.
They sold. You know, he came in with 4 friends. They left, he stayed alone. It's a very big headache.
You should have bought them maybe.
It was one of the, it was one of the things we discussed, where we went after, but financially it didn't make sense at the time.
Other than your brother, are there family in the company?
Yes, so my sister is also, and my sister she has a consultant background, and she worked with
the marketing. I remember, is your husband also?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I
But
have a
it's not
good
family
memory.
business. It's all complementary skills, and we're all very, very driven by the value that we bring to the communities that we're serving.
More other than your sister, you also have family members? Sorry, I'm asking, but I think
fine.
this is important.
We have a lot of family members in the company that are not our family. So we hire a lot of family members, by the way. Yani you find in the same company, in the same department sometimes, a lot of a mother and her daughter, a brother and a sister, a wife, etc. And this helps again in the bonding of the tribe, because it all goes back to sharing common values. This is the key of everything.
But if 2 want to go on vacation, a married couple, you will lose 2 stuff. I'm seriously. If the son, God forbid, is sick, then both parents will be affected by the. At our group, if 2 get married, 1 has to leave. So my joke is with the staff, why? You want to leave the company? Family companies have definitely advantages, but like any other entity, enterprise, whatever, there are pros and cons of this. It's too soon to think of it and succession planning and just Yusr. The SSS program is about doubling your revenue within a time frame of 3 to 5 years. I honestly, personally believe that you're gonna do it in less than this time frame. I want to hear your commitment. When are you going to double the revenue of Wakilni? It's recorded.
I think he got a call from the VC.
It should happen in less than 2 years.
Wow, beautiful. beautiful, beautiful. And you're confident. You're an engineer, and
I'm a dreamer.
you're a very focused
Yeah.
entrepreneur, and I think you're gonna make it.
I hope so.
Thank you so much
Thank
for being
you.
with us
Thank
today. Dr. Zablith,
Thank you,
you
Doctor.
for your insights. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. you
Dr.
for having
Bijan
me.
cannot find the words for thanking you for making this happen. Really supporting 10 small and medium enterprises in Lebanon to help them grow is something so, so valuable.
I'm very happy
And,
with this, but particularly companies like Wakilni, I think I get a kick out of helping these companies. Even it could be very marginal, it could be major, but just unlocking things and then taking friction points away. I think my job is to take the friction away, and I really enjoy hearing this, that they were thinking and moving on. Kudos.
But I have to say that I work very closely with Bijan, and we constantly
Bijan
share.
is Dr. Azad, okay.
And I have to say that the amount of effort that he put
Oh
in
my
the design of the program was just amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
Like the way he thinks about connecting the theory to the practical aspect. Like when he mentioned mentoring, I was like, why do we need to do that? And then it shows the value and the amount of effort that he wants to kind of make the classroom experience to be transferred into real life. And I hope that the participants, and I'm confident that the participants are feeling this. So I have to just say that his work is amazing.
Thank you, and
It's
of course we
a-
couldn't have done it without
Really
you.
a transformative journey, honestly. I've seen the companies, the beginning of the course, and now close to the end.
And you gave the course Heke a very nice touch, by the way. I'm so glad that Sami was
Thank
part
you,
of
thank
it.
you. Make
Great.
it less serious a little bit, wake them up sometimes. And really, the bonds you made along the way is amazing. The 10 startups or the 10 companies together, you see them, in workshops, cooperating together, brainstorming together.
Mm.
You know.
Very
But
true.
less assignments, I think, less homeworks. Huh? Dr. Bijan, our beautiful journey, as far as podcasts are concerned, came to an end. So I'd like to hear your final comments, your insights,
I think
your
I think
really-
one sentence, it's absolutely rewarding to hear the companies working through their problems, solving them, and trying to move forward. I think to me that really justifies all the effort and everything. So thank you. The companies are the key
I'm
point.
sure
here.
what Yusr said in 2 years, he's done double the growth. This is
Yes, it's
music
very
to our
important.
ears.
Absolutely.
We're extremely happy, and if there is anything we can do to help, with pleasure.
Thank you.
Including financing from AUB, $1 million. There was a center.
Maybe Pep Steel can give us a grant now. Next
Malak,
time.
this is where you say cut.
Thank you very much for being with us throughout these podcasts. For the benefit of the SSS program that directs towards Lebanese small and medium enterprises that want to double their revenue within a time frame of 3 to 5 years. We've covered, I think, 6 episodes, and we've targeted sessions like sales and marketing, like finance, like strategy and operations, and today's session was about design thinking and growth planning. I trust and hope that these sessions were useful to the companies that we interviewed and to our valuable listeners. Thank you all, and until we meet again in more episodes of these podcasts, best of luck and success to all. Thank you.